3 photographers from 3 different time zones, all connected by night photography and all shooting with the Pentax K1. We are the Nightaxians. The reason I mentioned it was because I got the topic was because there was a comment on YouTube that somebody made about Pentax lenses specifically to night photography. I think his name was Andrew, and he was like, I haven't seen any videos about anybody really talking about Pentax lenses in relation to night photography.
So
and I looked around.
We're going to oblige them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I looked around and I saw the typical lens review stuff, which is, great, but not so much for the night stuff. Of course, plenty of Canon, and Sony, and Nikon.
I should have grabbed some more lenses, that being the case, but that's okay. I've got two I've got 2 that I'll talk about because they're slightly out of the ordinary. Well, not, I don't know.
I thought you might. I have a feeling I have one of those sitting here too, probably. But I think we can all agree that we're all shooting with the 15 to 30.
Right. So I didn't even bother getting that one because that was a gimme.
Oh, I did. Mm-hmm. Oh God. Oh, weightlifting. Yeah. I was shooting with this.
That is a heavy lens.
It is. I mean, it's a heavy body and a heavy lens. I was shooting with this at doing a real estate job a couple days ago, and the guy was like, "Is that a fisheye?" Because,
right.
So big.
It's bulbous,
and it has the bulbous front element, so people are going to think that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think
so. One of the things that surprised me is before I was shooting with a Nikon D750. Well, I still am, and I was using a 14-24 f2.8, and so obviously, if I use a Pentax, I have to use something else. So I got the 15-30, and to my surprise, and I realize this is complete sacrilege, but I think the 15-30 might be slightly better. And obviously I'm talking about the F mount, not the Z mount Nikon lens, but because that one is probably really amazing. But the 15-30 is a darn good lens.
I think you're probably going straight to the hot box for that comment.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, you're going to get banned from the Nikon world.
Yep.
The 14-24, the 14-24 at one point was so sought after that even Canon users would use a Metabones adapter or something similar to actually use it.
Oh wow. Yeah, I have seen that in person because it's fantastic, and I actually would proactively recommend that lens to people who were looking for something good, because on the Canon bodies at the time, it was like the 16-35 was about as close as you could get, I think. And it had a lot of softness in the corners when you started getting down below 5.6. At least that was the Mark II version of it. But
that's what some people mentioned. Although that thing flares so beautifully, stop the 16-35 down a little bit, and wow, does that have a beautiful flare.
And I put it on a crop sensor camera for a while. I put it on an original 7D, and on that model, it was fine. But I was quite surprised at how soft it was at the time. But now they have a 3rd version out. But since I don't shoot with that system really anymore, I don't have any experience with it. But I'm sure it's been improved. Sometimes
I hear people who don't have Pentax, they'll say, "Oh, I really want more. I want a greater variety of lenses for my camera, so I'm not going to choose Pentax because of that." And actually, Pentax, especially if you count the legacy lenses, they actually have quite a lot of lenses.
Absolutely.
They do. Mike, did you shoot with that 14-24 also when you were shooting with your Nikon?
Yes.
Yeah. You did. Okay. All right. That's what I thought.
And it was
a
great
sure.
lens.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, most of your book stuff was probably shot with that lens, right?
Almost everything in the Louisiana book is with the 1424,
Okay.
and maybe, I don't know, I'd have to go in and look, but there might be maybe half in the Texas book that were with it.
That's a good amount. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Because that's one of those lenses, not unlike the 15 to 30 that, pretty much once it's on your camera, you don't often take it off. Like that's the lens that pretty much just sits on there. At least that's what I think. Because I know, Ken, you mentioned you've got a couple special lenses that you're going to showcase for a minute, but I have a feeling those go on and then they come right back off, right? And the 15 to 30 goes back on there.
Probably, but I have to say that I'm starting to change. And so, Tim, you're the one who actually recommended this lens, which is the 28 to 105.
Yes.
It's f3.5 to 5.6. And so I had used this mostly for the occasional day photos and not too much for night. When I went out into the field at night, I would use this as a backup, thinking, if something happens to the 15 to 30 or whatever, I've got this pretty great backup. But lately, I've been keeping it on my camera, almost not realizing that I haven't taken it off in a while. So the last couple of shoots I did, including the night portrait shoot of the band, I had this on the whole time. I didn't have the 15 to 30. I brought it, but I never had it on. I put this on initially because I wanted that flexibility in case I wanted to get farther away from them. And then I just never took it off. So, and this thing is so incredibly sharp, especially with those photos where I'm stopped down to f8 anyway. This thing is really sharp, and I just never had any reason or inclination to take it off. And also, the photos that I took in Lucerne Valley, those were all done with this one as well. So, yeah, that's two shoots over that's like 4 nights of shooting in which I didn't take this off. I didn't swap it out for any other lens. So remarkable lens,
fantastic.
Especially given the price. Yeah, especially given the price.
I think we both got pretty good deals on that. When I got mine pre-owned from KEH and came in, it was rated as excellent. It came in looking like it was brand new. I think I paid $339 for it. And and it was one of those lenses where I was like, oh, okay, it'll be just nice to have that kind of range. And then I got it and I was like, wow, this thing is very sharp. And with the K1 Astro Tracer, if you're going to shoot astro work with it and you use Astro Trace, even though it only stops to f4, that's more than enough. I've gotten some awesome photos with that for that purpose.
Exactly.
But having that range on there is nice. As great as the 15 to 30 is, sometimes I want to get a little bit more. And it's a really well-built lens that it seems like it should be more expensive. I hope Pentax isn't listening, but it seems like it should be a little bit more expensive than what it is.
Yeah.
Did you get that one, Mike?
It looks sort of like an old school lens too. I mean,
it does look like an old school lens.
Yeah, but it's really great. So yeah, absolutely great lens. So Mike, have you shot with it a lot?
Not a whole lot. I've used it a few times. Most of the time, if I'm switching to something else, I'm using the fisheye.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I'm
sure we're going to be getting to that.
Yeah, you'll have to talk about that.
Yeah.
The
Actually,
28
that's a pretty good transition.
It is. I'll throw this in real quick. The 28 to 105 is really light, so it's easily packable.
Yeah.
If you don't use it,
good point.
Yes.
that's totally fine because you'll have it. And sometimes I forget that I even have it. I'm like, oh, I wish I brought it. I'm like, oh wait, it's in here.